Really important to do this. If you don't hear one other thing I'm saying, here's what I would suggest. Have coffee with the camera.
If you are using video to build an online presence for your business or brand, and you need to get in front of the camera, yet you might be a little scared if you're like me, we're going to teach you 5 media tips to get yourself prepped so you can get in front of the camera and build your business online. Today I have with me Ann Abernethy. 3 things about Ann. Ann has been a broadcast journalist all her life. Ann has purchased and flipped 33 properties. Started her career with Regis Philbin. As Regis' co-host, it was Regis and Ann.
Right, that's right, in New York City.
She is such a powerhouse woman. So Ann, welcome to our first episode. Anyone can take their phone and just start recording. Why is it important that we brush up on our media skills before we press record?
Well, because you just don't know where you're going to end up to communicate your brand message or your company message. Doesn't matter what you're promoting. Are you going to go on somebody's podcast? Are you going to go on a live television show? Are you going to be interviewed on YouTube? It just doesn't matter. You've got to be ready to always know exactly how to deliver your message.
So what are some key tips to prepare yourself for being in front of the camera, even if it's just your phone?
My go-to thing, very first, is that I exercise before I go on camera. Because what happens is when you get the energy going, the endorphins flow, your mind clears, and you settle your brain. It doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're an artist, if you're a painter, if you write a book, you need a warm-up, and that's my warm-up, and I find it works every time.
What's another way you can prepare to put yourself in front of the camera?
I think you need to show up wherever you're going camera ready. People want to buy from people who look successful, who look organized, and who look in control of what they're doing. Hair, makeup, and wardrobe are very important. One of the most important tips you can do is to dress in a simple fashion. Only use solid colors. Don't use anything that's got a pattern or a flower. Most of all, you don't want to distract from what you're saying.
Are there any good colors that you recommend?
Well, primary colors pop on television. So red, yellow, blue, green.
And also a lot of people I find will wear their brand colors. So stay in theme. So if you're putting your video on your website, it'll be a nice palette for your website if you're wearing the same colors as your brand.
Structure's a little more important with wardrobe. So things that are drapey and loose will make you look huge and will make you look unkempt. So that's a good tip.
Let's talk about makeup. What are your best makeup tips for being on camera, even if you're just turning your phone and recording yourself in the spur of the moment?
When I was on Regis' show, we did a lot of demo segments, and a lot of makeup artists came on all the time, and I have enormous respect. They are magicians. They can really do amazing things. But how do you do it at home? What I learned is that most makeup, the expense of most makeup, especially really good, well-known brands, is in the packaging, and you're paying for the packaging and the marketing. So I use drugstore makeup. This is CoverGirl bronzer. Now, it may not be the greatest thing that anybody ever saw, but the important part about this is the color. It's not bright pink. This is a very, very neutral color. That's what you want to do. It needs to go with your skin tone, but stay away from things that have red or pink undertones or blue undertones. Brush, blend, 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 blend. Always use foundation before you do that. You don't want to be shiny on camera. So if you've got a translucent powder, that's a good one too. Highlighter, I'm sure this didn't cost more than $6 or $7. Desert Island, I'm taking this with me. You want to just dab some of this underneath your eyes and on your eyelids to open up your eyes. You and I have very light eyes. We need a lot of makeup on our eyes so that we don't look like our eyes have just disappeared. So I use a lot of liner. It doesn't have to be harsh liner, but you need that, and you need mascara. And eyebrows are so important. Who knew that eyebrows would be so important? You can buy a lipstick that's your color, that you like, and maybe a liner. It's a good idea to do that. Just make sure that your lower lip has a little bit of iridescent quality to it that's a little bit lighter.
So we will lay this out for you so you can see exactly what Ann uses to look this great, camera ready.
Please.
Just think about that little bit of extra if you're like me and don't normally wear a lot of makeup so that you can take photos and use those for your social media or video marketing,
Right.
and look great the whole time, because we want to look professional. It is a business.
This is another desert island thing. Not that you'd need it on a desert island, but if I had to be on camera on a desert island, Shaper Plus, this is the best hairspray I've ever used. We live in Colorado. We've got flyaways all the time. So, you know, you just, here, like that right there on your hair.
Well, I am going to get myself some Shaper hairspray immediately. What's another tip in getting our projection ready for the camera? Like projecting so that we're engaging to listen to when we're talking to the camera.
Really important to do this. If you don't hear one other thing I'm saying, here's what I would suggest. Have coffee with the camera. That's your best friend. Make it feel as though you're talking to one person. Talk to one to reach many. Instead of being a deer in headlights and your eyes like this and you never move and you're trying to make a speech, don't make a speech, just have a conversation.
Think about you watching this right now. It's just you, and we're talking to you, one person.
You know, the whole goal here is to be natural, is to feel as though, as I mentioned before, talking to one friend. When you talk to one friend, you're not just staring at them the whole time. It's very intimidating. You're looking away, you're using your hands. Project into the camera. Make sure you use your voice in a nice way so people can hear you. And of course, there are all those speech coach things about inflection on point 1, point 2, point 3. I don't want to give too much data around that, because here's what happens. People, they're self-conscious enough going on camera, if they don't do it all the time. When you start to think of all those things, you shut down, you get very stiff.
It is hard to get into that mode when you're not comfortable being in front of the camera. Do you remember the days when you first started? Was there anything that you had to learn or that you had to adjust when you first started in front of the camera? And we're talking to a camera, but you were doing live TV? So
I was doing live TV with 90 or 100 people in an audience as well. That's a completely different thing. Because not only are you dealing with this one person at home watching, but you've got all the people in the audience to address too. So if one thing I would suggest is body language. I mean, we hear a lot about it, but it's really important to think of it that way. Don't shut anybody out, and it doesn't have to be perfect. You're talking to a friend. We don't show up perfect every day. Whatever your business is, give it to me in small, digestible bites. Things that I can walk away with and remember. And also, probably real important thing is to talk in sound bites. If you're on set with somebody and they're asking you questions and somebody's going to go edit it afterwards, you could say to me, Ann, how did you transition from live television to real estate? And I would say, Kathie, to transition from live television to real estate, and then fill in the blank with your story. That makes cutting, editing so much easier, whether it's you or somebody else doing it. There's one more tip. Always include a call to action, no matter what it is. Go to my website. Please follow me on Instagram, subscribe below, whatever it is.
You and I both have a background in sales, so we both know the importance of the call to action. Because if you don't tell someone like where you want to send them or what it is you're selling, then they won't know. And most people would just want to get information so that they can make the best decision for themselves. If you want to get to know Ann a little bit more, follow her on Inside Aspen. She's going to be taking you on a tour of Aspen and all the inside homes, how to entertain. There's so much you can learn from Ann.
Well, thank you. Well, I enjoyed it. This is fun.
And thanks for helping train me to be media ready on my first interview video podcast.